Hello readers, my name is Nikki the Librarian and welcome to today's episode where we're doing part 2 of Winter Cozy Books for All Ages. And I have 6 books, some fiction, some nonfiction, that I think you should read this winter. So let's get started. First book I'm going to tell you about today is nonfiction, and it's YA nonfiction by Jim Murphy, who is wonderful. You should read his books. Blizzard. Yes, the storm that changed America. Best time to read books about the winter is when it's snowing, and this one takes place in 1888. Yep, March 12th, 1888. Spring. The spring equinox is like, 8 days away or something. Yeah. So people are like, oh yeah, there's this storm coming. You know, the weather people, everybody was like, oh, in, out. I don't even know if the snow's going to stick because it had been an incredibly mild winter until then. Yeah, no, everyone was wrong to their detriment. They were wrong. So everybody kind of blew off this storm, and it had how many? 21 inches of snow in just a few hours. This hit New York, Boston, that whole area up there, then other parts of New England. But New York, hard, really hard. 21 inches of snow in just a few hours. Now, you're probably like, how did this storm change America? Well, first of all, if you look at pictures of New York and all major metropolitan areas at the time, electric lines, telephone lines, telegraph lines, they were all above ground, even in cities like New York. When you have 21 inches of snow that gets dumped onto a section of your city in just a few short hours, all of that snow is going to break things, including electric lines. People were electrocuted because of this storm. It was crazy. Trains were stopped. People were stranded and decided to try and walk it to the next station or to houses. They got lost in blizzards. They died of hypothermia. It was really, really bad. And it took that city, it took New York, like almost a week to dig out. Because back then, politicians, they didn't really have a snow removal plan. Why would we do that? Well, they found out that if they wanted to remain in office, they better come up with a snow removal plan, and they better have a crew to figure that out, because people weren't going to stand for it anymore. And as a result of this 1888 blizzard, they buried lines. The electric lines, they're all underground now. Telephone lines, same thing. This storm was bad. So this is a book that stayed with me for a while, and it was very good. I'm glad I read it. My next book is by Frederick Bachman, and I've recommended a couple of his other books so far, but this one is Toown. And it asks the question, what is a team, a town, and a family willing to do to win? Now, there's a town, and it's kind of secluded, and it's kind of fallen on some harder times, but they have this school hockey team, like a high school hockey team. And it is the crowning achievement to get on the team. They had all kinds of championship wins, but time has gone on a little while, and they're not as good as they used to be. And they would really, really like to get elevated again where they were, because really that's the only thing that this town has going for them. They've got that great hockey team. And there's a whole cast of characters, because it's like a whole town, but it really follows mostly the story of the general manager and his family. It's his wife, his daughter, and his son. And just this hockey team because it's such an integral part of their lives. This book was very good to read. It reminded me a lot of the town I live in, but instead of hockey, it's basketball. Everybody goes to the games. Everybody's deeply invested into the sport, whether you like it or not. And so it was really easy to identify with that. And it's also, what is a town willing to do or not do, or what do we put up with or not put up with in order to recapture that glory of those days when we had something to be proud of, when maybe we live in a place where it's hard to find that. This book is thought-provoking. It's very good. Although I will say, I don't usually like sports fiction. So there were parts, especially when we're playing hockey, that there's a lot of action writing. And I kind of went, and we're back to the rest of the plot. I kind of did that a little bit. But I liked it. And it's very wintry. Winter does play a huge part in this book because a lot of these people play hockey even outside, not just in the arenas. Ooh, my third book, The Snowy Cabin Cookbook, Meals and Drinks for Adventurous Days and Cozy Nights. I love me a recipe book that does more than just give me recipes. And this book does it. It gives me cute little illustrations that are just adorable. It gives me all kinds of little side things like, what were some of them? I wrote them down. 90 ways to use a mug. It's adorable. A flow chart on how to find the right winter accommodations for anyone, and tips on how to build a better snow person. So it has all of these little things interspersed with all of these great recipes for the weather. So it's lots of stews and gravies and alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks and cooking for a crowd, or, just cooking for you and that special someone. And I love this whole series. There's like 4 of them. There's this one, there's a picnic one, which is adorable. There's a camping one, and then there's a summer one. And they're just cute. They're just fun. And the recipes are like, oh, that just makes sense. We should make that. Because here it is. It's winter and it's snowing, and let's eat this hearty stew or this hearty chili or whatever it is. I liked it. My next book is Emily Wilde's The Encyclopedia of Fairies, a novel by Heather Fawcett. This was published just this year in 2023, and I think there is a sequel coming out in 24. And Emily Wilde is a bit of an introvert. She is very focused on her academic study. She is a professor, and she studies fairies, fairy folklore. She knows everything, and I mean everything about the fairy folk. And she is given an opportunity to go to this Arctic-y type of destination where she has a chance to really study, not the live ones, because fairies are incredibly dangerous, the fae, not the live ones, but like from an anthropological standpoint, like through time and how did that fit into their culture and their traditions. So it's very, tedious and minutiae-y. So she's not adventurous at all. But when she gets to this town, she finds out that her mentor, let me get his name right because it's a little, Wendell Brambleby, has also decided that he would like to be a part of this research, and he's going to help her. He's a little flighty. He's a little, and Emily is not exactly pleased to have him there because he's going to be messing up his research. But he's actually more of a help to her than what she realized, because he has a way of getting along with people. He has a way of making people want to help them out. Emily does not have those skills. Emily is a bit abrasive. And while they're in this town doing this research, they stumble onto all kinds of fairy doings that's neither so good, that's not so good. So they have to help the townspeople try and untangle from this mess that the fairy folk have put them in. It's a fun story. It is a gentle romance, a little bit of an adventure, but just a lot of fantasy. Yeah, low fantasy, because I don't do high fantasy. So it's low fantasy. I liked it. It was cute. My fifth book, oh, I love this book so much, is Kenneth Graham's The Wind in the Willows. I love this book. Everybody talks about Little Women as a Christmas book or a winter book, and I get it. I know. I've read Little Women tons and tons of times. But I'm going to say chapter 4 in The Wind in the Willows, when they're in Mr. Badger's house, or in Badger's house, that is the ultimate winter cozy chapter. So let me tell you, chapter 3, Rat and Mole, they get lost in the wildwood. They're desperate. They're scared. It's getting dark. It's cold. The weasels are all around. So they got to start figuring out how they're going to navigate their survival, and they stumble upon Badger's door, like a back door. Badger, hears them knocking on the door. He lets them in. And think about it. They have been battling the elements for hours and hours. Badger says, here, come in, sit by the fire. I'm going to get you some supper. You're going to eat. Then you're going to go and lay down. I've got bedrooms. You guys can use the bedrooms. Sleep as long as you want. We'll have breakfast in the morning whenever you guys get up. We'll take care of things. It'll be great. I love it. And then they get up in the morning and it's late, but it's fine. And they get like porridge and eggs and bacon. And then they have people coming over. It's like the best. It's like that best feeling you have when it's winter and you get snowed in, but you got like all the food. So you're fine there. It's not like it's going to be, like blizzard. That would be bad. But you've just got your people around you and you're in your jammies. And that is chapter 4, Wind in the Willows. Love this book. And if I could figure out a way to recommend it like 3 times a year, I'm gonna figure out how to do it because I love this book. Okay, and my last book. My last book is a book you have to read in the winter. If you read it any other time of the year, it's not going to make sense. It's not going to be as terrifying. It just won't. And that is Stephen King's masterpiece, The Shining. Here we have Jack, Wendy, and little Danny. They are going to spend the winter at the Overlook Hotel to be the caretakers. Oh, Jack's got some demons inside and out. And you're snowed in, and it's not good stuff. I like this book. I reread this book just a few years ago when Dr. Sleep came out, and I thought, I'm going to reread The Shining and then Dr. Sleep. It was fascinating to see how much Stephen King has grown as a writer in the last 40 years. I think this was published in 72, 75, 77. It was in the 70s. Yeah, Dr. Sleep was like 2015 or something. But so it's kind of a 2-parter. But The Shining, winter book. Winter all the way. It's terrifying. I will say too, there are a couple of Stephen King books that, like The Shining, you have to read in the wintertime. Or if you read The Stand, you're going to get sick. I don't know what it is, if it's psychosomatic, but you're always going to get a cold when you read The Stand, and then you think, oh gosh, is it Dr. Trips? Captain Trips. Have you noticed that about books that you read, that you have to be in a certain place or certain things happen to you when you read a book? I would love to know what your observations are on that, or your traditions are when you read certain books, because I think that's fun. That's what makes books and connecting with people a little bit more personable, when you go, oh yeah, Well, I have to read the book in the winter because it's a wintertime book. You read in the summer, it just loses it. So The Shining, yes, by Stephen King, book 6. So there it is. Those are my 6 books that I have recommended for winter reading for all ages, part 2. If you like what you saw today and would like to read a book of your own, make sure you go to your local independent bookstore or get your copy at your public library. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like and subscribe button. I would very much appreciate it. Otherwise, I will see you next week with another episode.